taxes, inflation, and the breakdown of the family are causing us to fall behind. We have the lowest net worth in the United States, and I'm sure those numbers cross the border as well.
Some people get the disability tax credit and they don't open the registered disability savings plan, and that's where the government puts in all the money of grants and bonds for a person with a disability who has done all the steps. Some people don't do all the steps.
Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner. I was getting that crazy there this week. I was mixing up, but that's a fact. And also co-host and co-producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Doveman Plus Care, and being part of that team. Reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. Since 2020, you are listening to the Morning Vibe. As always, hope you're keeping blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Ryan Knight is here on a Friday. What?
Good to see you. For those that might only tune in Fridays and have forgotten who I am, my name is one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We support entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage their business is in and help them create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. And I am a founder myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning. We go to people's houses or their offices, clean their cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based, eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And shout out to my wife that's home today that allowed me to jump on early. So hey, Shertan.
Allowed you to jump on early. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave that.
The kids today.
Okay. Well, usually because it's back to school, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's get some house stuff going. Follow the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Would like to get to 1,600 subscribers when you can help us if it's up to it, but share it out. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service, on the show or anything that's the shows I'm part of, please email me dr.vibe@vibeshow.com. Also, join their Discord group where we keep it going. I got to contribute more to that. So my bad, I'm not doing more in the Discord group. I got to lead the charge on our Discord group. So that's done. And also, if you want to catch replays of a lot of the conversations, including this one, on another platform, Indie Soup Media, run by our good friend Dr. Tachi out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. At least 17,000 YouTube subscribers in 6 months. So that's good. I'm going to run a little bit other things, some program alerts. Coming up this Monday on the Morning Vibe, Carolyn Nicole will be talking about no more picky eaters.
All right.
Picky eaters are not just kids, adults are fussy too. So check it out on Monday. Always have great engagement and audience when Carolyn shows up because she wants us to be better, as Dr. Tachi, better. Also, live on September 10th, it's coming up, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Hasn't been canceled yet, so making progress.
Dr. Vibe and guests will be providing live commentary on the Harris-Trump debate. And I also want to do a few quick things because I spent some time. So there you go. So there you go. September 10th, 2024, 9 p.m. Eastern. Will both of them be smiling after that?
All right.
And also, so you're going to say, well, who's going to be driving commentary? Well, here we go. So at the top, we've got 4 wonderful African ladies, African queens from the United States. So going from my left to my right, Aisha K. Staggers, Laura Lala Key, Jill Jones, and Dr. Tachi. You know what?
Nice. Oh, you're moving the
logo, our little logo. Aisha K. Staggers, Laura Lala Key, Jill Jones, and Dr. Tachi at the bottom. from my left to my right, Wayne Harris, Ryan Oneil Knight, and Cesar Nadima Musa. So this will probably be a very unique conversation because the four ladies from the top are from the United States, all African queens. And then at the bottom, African kings, Wayne Harris, Ryan Oneil Knight, Cesar from Canada. So this is a true North American debate, not debate, content from both sides of the border. So I am really excited about this event. So wherever you're watching the Dr. Vibe show on any of the platforms, that's where it's going to be broadcast live. So really excited about that opportunity. Ryan, are you going to be there?
Yes, sir. Yo, ready. Got
And
my popcorn ready.
You got your popcorn ready, and you're still wondering, one thing about the debate it's going to be the same rules as the last debate that 45 had with Biden. So mics will be turned off, and then no fact checking. I thought I wouldn't go into a debate with 45 if fact checking wasn't allowed.
I'm telling you, that's the only reason that his camp would agree to it. Otherwise, that was the same backlash that the National Association of Black Journalists was having. Because backstage, they wanted to do fact checking and his team said no. So I don't think he would have done the debate.
With Ms. Harris, would you have taken on the debate if fact checking was not allowed?
She can't not do the debate. Like whatever he wants as like, oh, fact checking or no fact checking, for her, I think either way, she needs to be at this debate. Because remember, she hasn't had a debate yet. True. So she needs that public, at minimum 1-to-1 with him. As off or unhinged as he might be with the lies that he might just spew, her team, they need to figure out how to combat that without, you had mentioned the last time we talked about it, about in a court of law, you have certain consequences for lying. So you can call out and a judge can then intervene and say, like, listen, take that back or strike that from the record. So she won't have those safeguards in this type of open source debate where he can just pretty much say anything. And then the mics being turned off because they can still hear each other. I don't know if it actually works. They should actually do a Zoom call because that way when he's muted, it's like you can't over talk anybody or can't interrupt. But yeah, the mic's coming off and on, I don't think did what they were expecting it to do because he's just when he was yelling at Joe Biden, it was just direct to him. So Joe's hearing it.
Okay. Want to say good morning to Fitness IQ Cam and also Frequency Event Promotions. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Before we go quickly to break, how was week 1 of school for your 2 young ones?
They seem to be, I would say, easing into it well. So for the first time, they both have male teachers, which is interesting. So the school has about 5 or 6 male teachers. So just the most male teachers I've seen in a school. And first time my son will have a male teacher. So we're seeing that dynamic, how that plays out. But yeah, they seem to be adjusting fine. They were ready to go back. They want to see their friends and such.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I think we'll chat about this on a future open conversation. That actually one thing my people may or may not know, my dad was a public school teacher for 38 years, and I came this close to becoming a teacher. I got denied twice.
Oh, what, at Teachers College?
Yep.
Get into it? Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
I got this close, but no, okay, we'll hold off because if I ask this question, it's going to go into more stuff, and it's not about us today. But so.
Well, I was going to say I've never had a male teacher.
Wait, I had one. I had my grade 4 teacher was a male teacher, and actually a number of teachers I had in senior public. Yes, I had a teacher for consumer ed. I actually remember his name, Mr. Patrick. I remember his name. And then in grade 8, I had my teacher was Mr. Haywood. Wow, I'm remembering these names. Wow. Yeah.
Well, a couple, and then in college, majority I think were male, but in elementary, only the one, grade 3, Mr. Wiley. I don't know. I remember this guy's name.
Nice. Well, actually, before as we're going to break, actually, over the last few years we have we call them jock reunions. So all the guys who played athletics in high school, and we're having another one this year. And one of the people who shows up every year was my high school gym teacher. He's still alive.
Look at that. I was just thinking, I wonder if Mr. Wiley's still around. Because my grade 5 teacher,
and that's one of the reasons I go, just to see that this guy is still alive.
Right? That's amazing.
But we're going to be doing some golfing. I'm not good at it, but it's more the social aspect. So we're looking forward to that. But there's so many things I'd like to chat about, but it's not about us. It's about Wayne Harris. So we're going to be back in just a moment with Wayne Harris, and he's going to be talking about a very important area of financing that I really wonder if everyone has it in their portfolio. Very curious, but we'll be back in 30 seconds. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Join Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
That's not a big enough sample to even say that this is representative of anything.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Those polls have you thinking, oh, I don't need to go there.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. There you go. Those are two of the ladies you're going to see this Tuesday.
Nice.
Aisha K and Lala. So get ready, get ready, get ready. And first Fridays of each month is Wayne Harris time. So, and this is very wonderful because all of us are in dress shirts. I don't think this has ever happened before. That, of course, Wayne's in suit and tie, and of course we try to live up to our mentor when it comes to attire, Mr. Ray McMillan. Mr. Harris, unmute yourself and join us, please.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Outstanding. How are you, sir?
You know, doing well. Doing well. What's that saying you say? That affirmation you say when people ask you how you are, Dr. Vibe?
Blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, solution for someone's problem, and Blackalicious.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm all those things as well.
All right, good stuff.
I need.
Go ahead.
I need to carry you in my pocket so I can just say, "How do you feel, Wayne?" Hold on, let me pull up my Dr.
Vibe.
Fantastic. How's family doing?
Everything is great, man. Everything's great. I've got, my daughter had her wisdom teeth pulled out, so she was going through that. She had all 4 done at the same time.
Was just local freezing or knocked out?
No. They put her straight out.
Wow.
Which is, I think, the better option.
That's the truth serum. You
Yeah.
ask any questions you want to ask?
Truth.
What's your PIN number, Jenna? What's your PIN? What?
And who do you love more, mom or dad?
Exactly.
We'll get the truth.
Just out of curiosity, has any one of us had their wisdom teeth out? I haven't.
I have. I got all 4 at once.
No,
but
I
just freezing, so no, I wasn't knocked out.
Same, all freezing. You could feel the pressure of this guy standing on the chair trying to yank these things out.
Oh,
yeah. And then one broke.
It's wild that you can't feel it, but you feel him there. Like, the pressure of it pulling. But same.
Oh. No, I've only had 2 cavities in my life.
Wow.
Very good, doctor.
You are
very good.
Like when I go to my dentist, I can't make any money off of you, man. You're just taking care of yourself.
That's good.
Well, you know what? I'm far from perfect, but there's 2 areas. My dentist visits every 6 months, and now I'm not any fit right now, knowingly health challenges. I go to my doctor every month now.
Every month.
Yep. I like to be that preventative. Again,
I let my wife hear that, man. Just gonna be honest. I have to go for my checkup. I think I've been pushing it off for like 2 years.
Don't do that.
No, I went inside, so we did blood work and all that.
Okay,
so
don't do that. Yeah,
every month you're good.
Well, you know what? First of all, I've had the same doctor for about now 30 years, and we get along really well. And the nice thing is, we always end up hanging out for about an hour talking about sports and life, including the visits. And again, he's the same doctor. My dad and I have the same doctor, so I really like to be preventive because I like to be around as long as I possibly can. So I really, it's somewhat the same a conversation we're chatting about today about life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Too many guys that I know either don't have a doctor or put off going to the doctor.
Right. Absolutely.
So I just think that, and I'm just shout out here, if you're out there, please go. Really. And also to go the next step, find out your family's medical history on your mom and your dad's side. Right. Be preventative. So that's my PSA announcement today.
Service announcement.
Yeah, well, and I just don't play with it, man. Just play with it. Well, before we get into our topic, Wayne, what suggestions do you have for Kamala Harris for this Tuesday? Because you're very well versed when it comes to debates and public speaking.
Yes, she is going to have her talking points, and her mission is to have her answers ready for the moderator. So she will be very, very tight on the hot topics. Is when they take her off script, just like Barack Obama. When you go off script, it becomes a little bit of a ramble. So we'll see, as Trump says, what do you call it? The weave. He says when he rambles, he calls it the weave. So he goes into 9 different directions and brings it all back, weaves it all back together.
Gotcha.
So he believes. So I'm looking to see what that will be my thing. She's going to be, her talking points are going to be tight.
Okay. Who would be more challenging to coach, 45 or Kamala Harris?
Definitely 45. He's 78 years old, so he has so much to draw on from so many decades, right? So he's going to be pulling on different things just off the top of his head. And he has a lot of things off the top of his head. So I'm excited to see what is going to come out, because he could say, listen, I'm going to only talk about red balloons. But he gets up there and she triggers him. It could be orange, pink, polka dot balloons. So I'm looking for him to pivot. I'm looking for the pivots.
Good stuff. Well, again, everybody, this Tuesday, 9 p.m., all of us will be there. I'll be moderating, and we'll be watching either in the background or listening, and live takes on the debate. So not to be missed. But before one other quick thing here. Look who says hello. Heather Harris. Good morning from the DMV, Heather Harris. And also, Dr. Tachi, another participant this Tuesday. Good morning, Dr. Tachi. But Wayne is here to, I saw another message come out quick. Heather says it will also be important to address the question by talking to people after initially responding to 45. I think it's a big fault for her. She cannot do any, they're not going to do any fact checking. I think that makes it a hard climb.
Fact checking slows him down.
Yeah.
I want him fully, computer people will call it caching. I don't want any caching. I want him to go from his brain to his mouth as fast as humanly possible, because that is his truth.
But they don't realize they can use all that fodder for their attack ads. You want him to just let it all out.
Let it go.
And cut it up later. Like if you stop and go, it's not. There's no flow to it.
All right.
I don't want any fact checking. I want everybody to say what's really on their mind.
And she needs to be able to combat that. Like that, you can't. She's not gonna have fact checkers in real life to combat everything that people tell her. It's like, nah, let the prosecutor come out and let's see if we can go toe to toe.
There you go. Joy says Grand Rising from TNT. Good from Trinidad. Very nice to have you here. All right.
License plate in front of me. The Trini 60. I was driving on the highway.
Yes. I saw one yesterday on the 407. It said Soca Chinese.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, let's go Trinidad.
All right. Well, let's get it. Wayne, why are you talking about life insurance this month?
Well, this month we're going to be hand in hand with a gentleman. His name is Liam. And Liam is an acronym for Life Insurance Awareness Month. So Liam is going to be taking us for a walk all month, this month of September, because we want to make people aware of the power of what they can do to protect themselves, protect their family, and create generational wealth. And do it all, by the way, tax-free.
Gotcha.
It is one of the last bastions of retirement planning that we have in this country and in the United States that allows you to do certain things, and the government cannot and will not be involved, and it has been this way for over 100 years.
Gotcha. Is that a North America wide or just
This
Canada?
is worldwide.
Oh, nice.
Worldwide. Now, there may be some countries in certain economic situations where the rigor and the regulatory conditions are not as strong as in North America and Western Europe, let's say. But for the most part, these companies act globally. Therefore, they keep their standards as they go into different geographies. So there are companies that will operate in the Caribbean that will have parent companies either in the Caribbean or be subsidiaries of companies in North America. And what you want is, first of all, to debunk the myth that life insurance companies, real life insurance companies, will pay out the claim when that transition time happens.
Right.
If there was no fraud involved in setting up the policy initially. So we have a lot. I'm going to get in some stats. Dr. Vibe, I sent you some information by text. So you should have some information there. But I want to first say that in Canada, 56% of people have life insurance policies. If you're in the chat and you have a life insurance policy, just say yes. And let me see in the comments that you have a policy. And Dr. Vibe, because you're monitoring the chat, you can let me know who has said yes. If you do not have a life insurance policy, okay, and I mean nothing, you don't even have one at work, all right, say life. Okay,
so
put the word life.
I put my hand up saying yes.
Thank you, Dr. Vibe. Thank you.
Heather Harris says yes. Ryan Oneil Knight says yes.
Thank you.
Joyce says yes. Okay, there are more people than that on. Come on, people, be honest.
Let's go. I like it.
They're waiting for the life. They have to put life if they don't.
I need to see life.
Okay, Fitness IQ says yes.
Beautiful.
All the yeses are out so far. What about people? What about everyone else? Must be afraid. They must be afraid.
Check on your other channels and see if we have any life.
Oh, not yet. Everything. I'm just wondering, but I don't see anyone else. So I think there's some people who are afraid.
All right, perfect. No worries. So in Canada, we don't have race-based statistics, but in the United States of America, they do. And 44% of all Blacks in the United States have life insurance of some sort. And I'm going to talk about the sorts in a little bit. But the reason Blacks are buying life insurance is not for the tax-free wealth transfer benefits. Most Blacks in the United States, their number one concern is burial.
Okay, right.
Which is interesting. And I have no issue with that. This is what most people think life insurance is for, but it's so much more powerful than just for the death benefit. Now, the death benefit is tax-free in both countries. I won't speak to Europe. I'm assuming it's the same. I won't speak to any other geography. But in Canada and the United States, the death benefit is tax-free. Now, the companies that I work with also have Caribbean entities, and they also pay out tax-free. So think about this. You can accumulate hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars and have it transition to your next of kin, whoever you name as a beneficiary. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Whoever you name as a beneficiary, that money can go to them tax-free. But here's the good news, boys and girls. If you have a certain type of life insurance, you can enjoy the benefits of that life insurance while you're alive. Okay? So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. Story number one. On July 10th, 1978, I woke up with my little brother. I got a kiss from my mother. She said, "Hey, Wayne, your lunch is in the fridge. Have a great day at camp, summer camp, and you and your brother have a great day. Love you." I said, "Love you, Mommy." And she went to work as per usual. About an hour later, I got a call from my cousins who lived about 5 blocks away and said, "Do not go to camp. Come to the house." Now I was excited. Now, camp was fun. It was an all-black camp, and we can talk about that another time. but this was a camp run by the Black community in Montreal in the 70s. We had something called Camp Lumumba. Camp Lumumba was run by all Black teenagers, college students, university students, and teachers. And what they did was have all blackity black everything and all Black students, and they rented out public schools in multiple geographies in Montreal. So ours was the NDG, Notre Dame de Grâce, Black Community Center. They had the LaSalle, Ville LaSalle, Black Community Center, Côte de Neige, Black Community Center, West Island, Black Community Center, and South Shore Black Community Center, and the mecca of all Black community centers, the Negro Community Center in what is Little Burgundy back in the day. Some people will consider it Burgundy today, or Griffintown in downtown Montreal, where they ran the Villa Maria Highway right through the Black community in Montreal back in the 50s.
Oh yeah, you had mentioned that.
So we talked about that last time. Yeah. So all these community centers would run day camps for Blacks. So we were singing songs of "We are marching to be free." So la la. We're singing all these African. So we're Pan-Africanists, we're Afrocentric, and we're 8, 9, and 10 years old. It was amazing. So we loved the camp, and we would go there. Sometimes the counselors would steal my sweetbread. My mother made great sweetbread. They steal our sweetbread. Let me see what you got there for lunch, Wayne.
Sharon. Uncle Tax.
What was her name? Counselor Tax for my sweetbread. Anyway, we go over to my cousin's house, and we love going there because my cousins, we were about the same age. He and I, one cousin and I were 6 months apart. My brother and his brother were a year apart. So it was great. So we hung out like brothers. And we're there, and what I loved about it was they had color TV. It's 1978. Right. We had black and white TV. Listen, I didn't know Superman was blue, white, and red. So I went to their house. We watched Super Friends in color. It changed my life.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're there at the house on the Monday, July 10th, and they say just go over there, hang out with the boys. So there's 4 kids, 12 and under, in this apartment, and we're waiting for further instructions. Then we get a call from the hospital, and my aunt talks to her son, and I hear him say, "Oh no," and he starts to cry. And I'm like, I've never seen this dude cry, ever. Right? And then he passes me the phone, and she says 2 words to me at 11 years old: "Mommy's gone." I go, What do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean gone where? Mommy's gone. She just died. Over the phone to an 11-year-old, a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 9-year-old who are home by themselves on the 3rd floor of an apartment building. Okay, so one, shout out to the 70s, because you could have kids under the age of 13 by themselves doing big people things. That's one. 2, reflecting on it, the lack of empathy to say, hey, listen, we should tell this kid face to face in case he freaks out. We're on the 3rd floor of a building. What if I just anyway? So they tell us, and our lives change that day forever. Because my mother was raising us as a single mom. My sister was at school. She's on this call today, and she's like, "Why are you telling this story?" I'm telling the story because the story is the story of a lot of people, not just the 2 of us. So 3 of us, my brother in Montreal, and we had to wait. And they leveled up. They leveled up in a couple of hours because she was also at a camp. She was doing a summer camp. Because she's a little bit older than I am, 21 plus tax, a little bit older than I am. She was at her camp, and they waited and put her in a taxi and brought her home and told her in person. So we had to see the reaction of someone hearing it for the first time again that afternoon when they finally got in contact with her, called the school, found her, brought her home, and told her. And then everything during that week was a blur until I went to my first funeral that I can recall at the Mount Royal Cemetery to bury our mother. And let me tell you, this lady at 44 had her own home. She had a car, a Buick LeSabre, baby, brown with pleather, taupe pleather interior. It was huge. Nice. She could drive this thing with rear wheel drive with only 2 rear winter tires in Montreal. She's doing her thing. I'm like, yo, go on, bad gal.
Yeah.
Right? she's doing her thing, and she's gone. So life changes for us big time. It's a catastrophic event from an emotional point of view, but it was not a catastrophic event from a financial point of view, because in 1978, as a single mom at 44 years of age, our mother, had three things that most people don't have. She had a will, living will, and power of attorney. She had life insurance through work, and she had her own personal life insurance. All three, 46 years ago. So, again, I'm going to go to the chat. If you have an up-to-date will, living will, and power of attorney, and you have work insurance and your own personal insurance, say yes to everything I just said.
Okay.
The full estate plan, work insurance, and personal insurance. Say yes.
Before we go any further, I'm going to catch up. So Mignon Cam is here saying morning. She says Canada is starting to collect race-based information. Just contact Race and Disability Canada. But she also says that is how I enjoy my life insurance. I call it my living benefit, and it's the main asset exempt under ODSP, Ontario Disability Support Program, that many on ODSP don't know it exists or how to use it. Your dear sister says Steve Gittins took us to camp.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Mignon Can says, yes, there's a documentary about Little Burgundy.
There is.
And yes, watching the Wheel of Fortune in black and white is a vibe.
Price is Right as well. The colors of the wheel. Can't tell the colors of the wheel.
And which brings, of course, who's the new host of The Price of What Is Right? Now, The Price is Right, I mean Wheel of Fortune. Anyone know?
Ryan
Seacrest.
I was joking. This guy does really? I thought he with Live and Kelly.
Well, he's doing well. And interesting thing, who was his idol when he was growing up? Let's see. Now, Wayne may be able to answer this a little bit more because it's a little bit maybe before you, Ryan. Who was his idol when he was growing up, Wayne? Who do you think?
Either Bob Barker or the guy on Wheel of Fortune.
No,
the guy that does the Nears.
No, Dick Clark was his idol.
Dick Clark, yes.
Oh no, he was
he is very Dick Clark.
Mignon Cam says Latchkey Kid.
100%.
IQ says condolences.
Thank you.
Dr. Chachi says, oh dear. Fitnet IQ says, indeed you do. What? Hold on a second. And Dr. Chachi says, wait, is this the same Heather Harris that I know? It may be because I think both of you went to Howard. Or she teaches at Howard, you went to Howard. So I think there you go. So of course, no one's answered your question. So yes. I will say I'm going to be totally open. I have almost, but not all.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be honest here. So other people, if one of the hosts can be honest, why can't you? You're sitting behind a keyboard. I'm on a screen here, and I'm working on completing it. But Ryan says yes, he's got it all. And Joy says yes, also has everything you have said. So everyone else who's here, and Dr. Kachi says yes, we were both in the same doctoral program. She was in before I was. So we bring. I
love it.
Okay, Mignon Cam says no will life insurance. I'm self-employed. Insurance is not the same. And Dr. Kachi says I have almost all. And One Full Circle Community says, I missed the question. So can you say that again, Wayne? We can move forward.
Sure.
Ask your question.
Do you have an up-to-date notarized will, living will, power of attorney, personal life insurance, and life insurance through work? That's a hat trick. That's the estate planning hat trick.
I love that. The hat trick. I like that.
Very Canadian of me, I'm sure.
But all right. And Heather Harris says, yes, HU. And then I say I'm related to both of you because my dad went to Howard.
Nice.
He graduated from Howard University with a degree in economics.
So did Kamala.
Yeah.
Wayne, not to dig into your business, but you're talking about your mom. Did your dad as well have life insurance? I'm not sure. Did he pass as well?
So he passed last year, and he also had life insurance, and I'll talk about that in a second. So he lived to the age of 90, the first male Harris that we know on record to get past 89.
Wow.
And he worked hard because they gave him 4 to 6 weeks to live November 28th, 2022. and he got all the way to
Yeah.
March 10th. 10 again, July 10th for my mother, March 10th for him.
Yeah.
But 46 years later.
Wow.
So he did have life insurance. And one of the things that, because I know what I know and am trained and certified, I know that if someone in your family has been deemed terminal by their doctor, you can get up to 50% of the face value of the life insurance death benefit up front as a loan from the insurance company.
Right.
Which is one of the mechanisms I leveraged for my father, so we could take care of any debt and any expenses. When it came to that day of the transition, my sister and I, we operated like ninjas, and they're like, "How do you know this? How do you know this?" The bank is like, "What are you doing here? How do you know?" Yeah, exactly. Right.
Wow.
So this is key for us for wealth transfer. And as I understand, you want to have investments. I understand you want to have, the cryptos of the world, and you want to do the Forex and all these things that the millennials and Gen Zs are talking about. All those things are great. Knock yourself out. But if you have dependents, or you do not want to leave your next of kin with a financial burden, life insurance is one of the most cost-effective and the most tax-effective way for the everyman to transfer wealth without taxation. Because getting the money from the parents to the children on the investment side of the house can be very daunting from a tax perspective. And it will end up in probate if you are in banks or investment firms.
And
so probate,
kids argue over the house, like just
all those things. If you don't leave instructions, it's left to interpretation.
Yeah,
and then people will start contesting the estate. People like Bob Marley have no will. He's still fighting for it now. 81 he died, 43 years, right? Still fighting. Aretha Franklin, no will, still fighting. Prince, no will, still fighting.
The thing I heard about that is because he did a lot of things without contracts.
Correct.
How money is owed is even up for debate. So it makes it so difficult not having those things documented.
Exactly. I mean, Michael Jackson had an estate. He left money for his mother and his kids, but I heard that they have, however he set it up, the kids can deny the mother money, which is why they ended up selling his catalog for $600 million to Sony Music rather than keeping it, because it was kicking off $75 million a year. I don't know how you can't live on $75 million a year. $1 million a year divided by 9 kids or however many Jacksons there are and grandchildren. 1 million should be enough to help you out, but 75 million is not enough. You're going to sell the catalog? Listen, Bieber sold his catalog for 200 million, right? Are you telling me Michael Jackson's only 3 times as good as Bieber? I don't think so. I have to think that catalog is worth like $2 billion.
But that's where the pressure and who has decision-making power.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I always say that if you're going to set up an executor, I'm a Star Trek man. Shout out to Star Wars as well, which I love. But from a Star Trek perspective, you want someone who is more Mr. Spock running your business than Captain Kirk. Like I said. Okay, you want someone who's going to say, "This is what Ryan wanted. This is what we're going to do." And all people who come to the table who are not in alignment with that will get dismissed summarily by that executor. So I see a lot of comments, Dr. Vi. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna catch up. I was looking for a break time, so we got one full circle. Camille says 1 out of 3. Thank you for the repeat. Fitness IQ says good to know. Mignon Camp says when you know the financial system, you maximize being an advocate and access what you're entitled to.
Yes.
Mignon Camp says yes. Aretha was too busy getting her money in cash.
Yes.
And Minnie also says over time, paper falls apart. And then Dr. Chachi says that was a stupidity on the Jackson kids' part. So we got lots of things going on here. So continue on, Mr. Harris. You are on fire per usual.
Thank you. So, we're kids, so we're minors. We don't know what's going on. We go to the funeral. It's held in the church where I used to sing in the choir back in the day. And we finish up that on July 14th. We're in a new reality. We're now without our mother. We now go with our father, and we start all over again, building a relationship with him and his family, and we come and we kind of weave ourselves in there. And what happens is I decide at 19. So remember, I move in with my father at 12, and at 19, I'm on my own. What happens in between there is a bunch of different things that made me who I am today, right? Because I understood the power of what life insurance could do at a very, very tender age, right? So the fact that I'm in this industry today is kind of apropos because I saw it in action as a child. Okay. So now let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about the 3 types of life insurance, just so everybody's clear. Okay. There's permanent life insurance and there's temporary life insurance. But all life insurance is temporary. Why? Because when you transition, the life insurance term stops. So there's no forever life insurance, right? You can't have a 1,000-year policy. You can only have a policy up to the life of the person that you're with. Life insurance also, the younger you are, the less expensive it is. The youngest you can insure a human being is 15 days old. Before it shows autism, before it shows sickle cell, before it shows ADHD or autism, you insure. The youngest you'll ever be able to insure a human being is 15 days old. This is a hack, because if you insure the child immediately, if you find out any ailments the child has 30 or 40 days after you have your checkup, policy's already approved and you're good for life.
Right.
You have a permanent policy. So let's talk about it. There's term. You can get a term policy, 8-year term, 10-year term, 20-year, 30-year, 100-year term. And this is death benefit only, no cash value. Okay. In order for you to have this policy trigger, you must die. So you will never benefit from that policy, only your next of kin, unless you're terminal. And then you can get up to 50% of that policy as a loan. And when you die, you pay back the loan and get the rest of the money. So term insurance, temporary insurance. Okay. If you're going to use term insurance, I would say if you have mortgage insurance or creditor insurance, that means the bank is asking you to pay premiums to cover them. If you should die, that your mortgage is paid off. So the bank is protecting itself, but you're paying the premium. This is mortgage insurance or creditor insurance. You pay the premium, they pay off the mortgage. Every year the mortgage goes down in value, your premium stays the same. Bless you.
Sorry. Yes.
So, imagine all these people who have mortgage insurance. I can probably get them temporary or term insurance for the duration of their mortgage at a lower cost than the creditor and mortgage insurance. Not only that, I could probably get them more insurance than they're paying for the mortgage. Because let's say you have a $500,000 mortgage and you're paying whatever you're paying per month. I can probably get you $750,000 or $800,000 for the same amount you're paying for the mortgage insurance, which will cover the mortgage and pay off all the bills and leave a legacy.
Right.
For the same amount. Term insurance, temporary insurance. Okay. You can have 2 types of temporary insurance. You can have one coverage all the way through the term. So if you have a 20-year term and it's $500,000, it's $500,000 now. It's $500,000 in 20 years. Fair? Because you're 20 years older, you're more risky. Your health has probably declined a little bit, so you're going to be more expensive. So the next 20 years are going to be more expensive. Okay. But you can also have something called declining term. And declining term means as your mortgage goes down in value, the term policy goes down in value. Therefore, your premium is lower cost. And as you go from $500,000 to $250,000 in 20 years, half the coverage, you'll pay less in premium, but you also have less of a mortgage.
Right.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Term insurance. All right. Again, we use term for things like mortgages because we can get a lot of insurance for a very low cost. Okay, term. Second type of insurance you have here is something called whole life. And whole life is for your whole life. You live to 105, the policy will be there. Okay, as long as you pay the premiums. And you can pay the premiums again for 10 years, 8 years, 10 years, or 20 years. Never pay another premium again and have the coverage for the rest of your life. Now, there's two buckets in the whole life policy. Bucket number one is the death benefit. So how much are you insured for? 100 grand, 200 grand, whatever you're insured for on the death benefit. But there's also something called cash value. And cash value is a cash accumulation in the insurance policy. So when you have a whole life policy, you have two buckets that are going up in value. The death benefit will go up in value every year, and the cash value will start accumulating, usually after the 5th year.
But then what ways can you use the cash? Like if
It's a great question, Ryan. You can use the cash. Once you get the cash to a certain amount, you can collateralize or borrow policy loan against the cash value in the policy. So once the policy, so think about this, you have a 15-day-old baby, and there's a culture that has been doing this for 100 years. They live near Bathurst, if you're from Toronto in the GTA, and they live in Crown Heights if you're from New York. And what they do is the grandparents will fully pay for the policy of the grandchild from the cash value of their policy. So it's not coming out of pocket from the grandparents. It comes from the policy. And they pay for the full policy of the child. Even if they die before the child's policy is paid off, there's a mechanism we can put in place that will pull that money out and continue paying the premiums on the policy, even if the grandparents die.
Boss move.
Okay? So the cash accumulation in the policy of a whole life policy, once it gets at a certain threshold, and that depends on the company that wants to give you the loan, you can borrow up to 90% of the cash value in that policy while you're alive, tax-free, because all loans are tax-free. So let's say you have a policy and the policy has to make the math easy, we'll say $100,000 of cash value in it. You can go and get $90,000 cash money and not have to qualify for the loan because the policy is the collateral. So you don't even have to have an income.
Gotcha.
Okay? And they're going to give you $90,000. You take that $90,000, God bless you, do what you want with it. You could pay it back if you want, so you can borrow again, or because cash value accumulates every year and death benefit accumulates every year, there'll be more cash value in that policy, and you'll be able to borrow between what you already borrowed and the new level of cash value. Tax-free. So whole life policy pays a dividend, and the dividend with some companies has never been below 6%, ever. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the oil crisis of the 70s, Desert Storm, Y2K, 9/11, the financial meltdown 2008, 2009, and again in 2011, and then Corona in 2020, 21, 22, never lost like Floyd Mayweather. Never lost. 6% or better every year for over 100 years. And there's multiple companies who have that track record in whole life insurance. So you know it's a pretty safe bet that you're going to make money on the money. Now, there's also something in whole life policies that you can do called a paid up addition. And a paid up addition means that you're going to be paid up more life insurance. So the death benefit will increase every year as the insurance company looks at how many people are transitioning, how many people are buying, and how are our private equity investments doing. There's no market exposure with whole life insurance. S&P 500, NASDAQ, ETFs, crypto has nothing to do with insurance. And these companies, by law, have to be capitalized to the extent that they have to have a minimum of 100% of the policy value in reserve. And some companies in Canada, right here, have reserves of 194%. Think about that.
Damn.
194% of the cash to pay out every policy to the tune of 194%. So they're not going anywhere. They're probably some of the most stable and solvent companies you could ever have access to. And if they're publicly traded, some insurance companies are publicly traded, they're going to pay a dividend to the stockholders. They have to watch the stock and so on and so forth. So the reserves are a little bit lower because they're paying dividends and so on and so forth.
Right.
Traditional dividend. But this paid up addition and the dividends you're getting in the policy have nothing to do with market exposure. This is the company saying, we made this much in profit sharing. We're going to give you a dividend on that. And they've never lost in 100 years. It's one of the safest bets you can make in investments, but people don't know about it.
Okay. Is the dividend that it pays out different than the cash value that you can extract?
The dividend will add to the cash value.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So the dividend, great question. The dividend will add to the cash value. So they're going to give you a basic cash value every year, plus they're going to give you a dividend of at least 6% that has never lost in 100 years. The dividend is not guaranteed, but the dividend has never failed to pay.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's whole life insurance. You have no transparency to what they're investing in, how they're investing, where they're investing. You have no idea. Just know you're going to get 6% dividend every year and paid up additions. Okay.
Nice.
I'll let the chat catch up.
Go ahead. You've been dropping some knowledge on. So Heather says, educate your children and or your beneficiaries.
Right.
She also says, Wayne has always been a boss with money, even at 7 years old. Drea Rich says, good morning, gentlemen. She goes, had to borrow money from him to buy pizza.
Okay.
And I cried. I gave her, she go, Wayne, you have any ones? Yes, they gave me a $5 bill and I gave her 5 ones and I was vexed because it was less paper.
Also, Mignon Cam says Gerber is selling life insurance.
Okay.
Drea Rich says, to answer Wayne's question, I have a will but no personal life insurance or work plan. Mignon Cam says, it's possible to have insurance coverage after disability. There are rules on pre-existing conditions, but you have to cover any future diagnosis in some insurance plans. I spent last year researching. Heather says, our mother had mortgage insurance as well.
Gotcha.
And Mignon Cam says, some credit cards are selling creditor insurance in your credit card.
Yes. And all those things I would avoid. I would say do not buy insurance from credit card companies. It's kind of like buying a roti from a Jamaican restaurant. It probably is okay. But if you want real roti, you got to go to a Guyanese or a Trinidadian restaurant. It just kind of makes sense. No shade on the Jamaican restaurants. You want oxtail, you go to a Jamaican restaurant. But if you want roti, come on. So I would not recommend that you buy insurance company from Gerber, the food company, or buy it from a credit card company in any shape or form. You buy insurance from an insurance company. There's enough of them in Canada for you to get a fair price and a real product that will do its job when you can't.
Okay, I got a second line of comments here to go through. Sean says, lots of great 411. There you go. Drea Rich says, what is the benefit of life insurance when no one has dependents or spouse? Are there different considerations for a will for a single person?
Just before you finish that, my apologies. I do have to run to this event.
Yes.
I'll hop off and I'll let you answer.
No problem.
Thank you much, Wayne.
All right. Take care.
Have a great weekend, Ryan. Thanks for coming.
No problem. So do you want to answer that question, Ray?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
When you have no dependents, Drea, you're either going to leave a legacy of wealth or you'll leave a legacy of debt for your next of kin. That means your brothers and sisters and your parents, they're going to be responsible for your debt. So rather than you leaving them with a debt that they have to pay because they're next of kin, you go get yourself enough to cover your final costs, and not just your final costs for arrangements, whether you want to be buried or cremated, but also your final estate taxes, which is what most people forget about. You in this country and in the United States, when you die, you have to pay estate taxes. And depending on what you have in assets, you have a bunch of stuff in your 401k, you have a Roth IRA, you got a bunch of different things going on. All those things become deemed as sold, and you have to pay the unrealized capital gain when you pass. That's not on you, that's on your next of kin, and they will find them. So rather than leaving them that debt, make sure you have enough life insurance to cover your final arrangements, however you want to be arranged, as well as your estate taxes and any probate you may have to pay depending on your income. Okay. Now, if you don't have any money to pay for life insurance, depending on where you live, the state might cover you. I know in Ontario and in Quebec, they'll cover up to $2,500 if you don't have any means of doing it yourself. And they're just going to cremate you and take the ashes and throw them away if there's no one who's going to come and claim them. So if that's the way you want to go out, then that's an option. But I would strongly recommend for a very nominal price, depending on where you live. If you're in the geography of British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, or New Brunswick, I got you. If you're in the state of Maryland, the DMV area, I've got people down there, and in other states in the United States, I will take care of you. Happy to show you what's possible at a reasonable price. But this is why you want to do it. You don't want to leave people with a legacy of debt. You want to leave them, if you don't want to leave them wealthy, you want to leave them at least neutral.
Exactly. And I was putting up on the screen, it's in the comments on most of the platforms that you're watching this live in the replay. There's Wayne's contact information, book an appointment with him, email address, and Instagram. There are a few more comments before we get back to things. Let me just, there's so much. Oh, Drew says, hit enter too quickly. Meant to say that these discussions in general, not Wayne specifically, do not always consider a single status.
100%. I mean, single people have the ability to transfer their wealth to their alma mater. Maybe they want to leave money to, Howard University if they went to Howard University. Maybe they want to leave it to the local political party. Maybe they want to leave it to the local shelter. You don't have to have dependents. You can do good for the community and help a bunch of kids go to school with that money, right? Help provide for backpacks and school supplies for the local elementary school, because it's underserved because the tax base is not strong enough to make the school better. You can do a lot of things with that money to leave a legacy, as opposed to just worrying about having dependents or having a spouse. So lots of things you can do. Create an endowment, maybe in your mother or grandmother's name or grandfather's name, and say, listen, this is going to be the so-and-so scholarship, and you're going to give out $1,000 to 5 kids forever, because they'll never eat the endowment seed. If you leave $100,000, whatever that $100,000 kicks off, and like I said, the dividend can pay up to 6%. It's going to kick off $6,000 a year, meaning that you're going to have 6 scholarships of $1,000 each to give to students forever, because we'll never touch 100,000.
Good stuff. So Minnie says, Drea Reese, is possible to invest your life insurance with segregated funds. I have no children and not married and have my life insurance products. Also says, my RSP, TFSA, and FHSA are segregated funds only sold by a company under Life Insurance Act. Fitness IQ Cam says, cover off any debt you have with a life insurance policy. You wouldn't want your loved one to pay it off while they're grieving.
Facts.
Minnie says, I speak on the single and disabled lifestyle. You did. And Fitness IQ says, and cover funeral expense if you didn't pre-plan that.
Right.
Minnie says, insurance can be the wild, wild west since so many companies are selling insurance, but it's not their primary industry. Sorry. Fitness IQ says, actually had my credit insurance and it was actually beneficial. Okay. Minnie says there is a book for Canada's Canadian's Guide to Personal Finance for Singles. Okay, you know what? I'm going to hold it there and let you continue, sir.
Okay, so that's whole life insurance, right? So again, for your whole life, you have no visibility to the investment, but you have 2 investments. You get paid up additions, which means the insurance company is buying you more life insurance. So it's basically an inflation protector for you. And then you have the dividends for participating whole life policy. The dividends will meet the cash value. When you look at what you will have in dividends, should you go deep into life, and many of our women do, in the 90s, late 80s and early 90s, it could be millions of dollars, and you can stop paying the premiums after 10 or 20 years, but you'll have millions of dollars in your 80s and 90s. That means you can use the cash value in the policy to give inheritances while you're alive. You can give money to your grandchildren, help them buy a house. You can give money to your daughter to help her get a better or new car. You can go and travel everyone, all 3 generations, and go to Africa with the cash value of the policy while you're alive and in good health. Go to Machu Picchu while you can still climb the steps, rather than waiting for you to transition and then have them spend the money any way they want. The other thing you can do with a whole life policy, you can also do it with a universal life, which I'll talk about in a second. You can meter what goes to the beneficiary. So rather than giving someone who might be considered a knucklehead in your family $1 million and having them go out and buy pizza Mustangs, you can give them $2,000 a month and have the insurance agent and financial advisor give them that money on a monthly basis on the drip, and then they will determine if this person is ready enough, mature enough to receive lump sums. Otherwise, they'll continue getting $2,000-$3,000 a month for the rest of their life. So they're not left out of the will. They're just not getting the lump sum. You can say this person gets a lump sum because they're grown. This person gets $2,000 a month because they're not ready yet. And then they can transition. We come in and have a checkup from the neck up, see if they're okay, and then it's okay. I believe you have shown me enough that I will give you the lump sum. I don't have to give them all of it. I can give them half of it and see how they do. And if they do well with it, that's okay. I'll give you the rest. But you take judgment out of their hands if they're immature. Okay. And you can have like basically a trustee for them to meter the cash. So that's whole life insurance. It's for your whole life. It can be expensive depending on age and depending on pre-existing conditions. But if you were to get this policy for a 15-day-old baby, it's the least expensive it will ever be. And it's a gift that will guarantee 3 generations of wealth tax-free. Okay. Before I move on to the other 2 types of life insurance, I want to tell a story about the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, 2 families that everybody should know about, especially if you're in the United States. The Rockefellers had a Rockefeller Family Trust, which owned the life insurance policy on every Rockefeller born. The insured was the Rockefeller who was born, and the beneficiary was the trust. So while those Rockefellers were alive, they would borrow against the cash value of the policy. So when people say tax the rich, you're assuming the rich have income, W-2 or T4. They don't. They're borrowing against the cash value of their insurance, which is tax-free. They live their best life, buy boats, buy cars, buy buildings, travel the world. And when they die, the trust pays back what they borrowed, keeps the difference and the death benefit for the next generation. The Rockefellers have been doing this for over 120 years. The Vanderbilts did not. The Vanderbilts kept their policies in the name of the Vanderbilt that had it as the owner. The Vanderbilt was the insured, and the beneficiary were the Vanderbilts who were left over. And what they did was they ate their seed. And because they ate their seed, the Rockefellers have billions of dollars in their trust, and the Vanderbilts don't. That's why Gloria Vanderbilt's son works on CNN, because they spent their seed over the last 100 years. Okay, Vanderbilt University, all this good stuff, and Gloria Vanderbilt, venerable brand. And now there's CNN. Now he might make a couple $1 million. He's not broke, but he's not a billionaire, and he should be. That's a lot of compounding over 100 years that he should have had. Back to the comments, Dr. Mike.
No problem. And for people who don't know who her son is, a gentleman named Anderson Cooper. Just want to they may not know. So Drea says, let me go to this comment. Tim says, to me, I can thank you for the feedback as well. I have some investments as well, just not a life insurance vehicle. Also says, thank you for that response, Wayne. I am in Toronto. I have an RSP TFSA well enough to bury me. That is why I figured no life was necessary. I figured I would leave my home to my sis to sell.
Right. So if you have the RSP and TFSA in a bank or an investment firm, and they're over $50,000 and you're in Ontario, which you said, you will pay probate. 1.5% of your estate will go to probate just for the pleasure of dying in Ontario. And then the rest of it will go to the estate. And if you don't have a will, living will, and power of attorney, the government will provide one for you, and that will take money from the estate, and that will take twice as long for it to settle before your sister has the ability to sell. But while she's waiting for that, she can't get access to the money. Wow. Because she's waiting. Now, if you have a named beneficiary on the TFSA and the RSP, she will get the money and it will bypass probate, but it still has to go through estate tax. Or would you prefer her to get the money tax-free? So that's the question you have to ask yourself. If she's going to be selling the house, it would be nice for her to get the money in less than 30 days from me, rather than waiting a year plus for the government to settle the estate. Okay. And there's a way to do that.
Yeah. Minion Cam says, being eligible for ODSP, I found out my burial costs is covered.
Nice.
Let me get to this. She says, to Drea Rich, personal finance is personal. when you know the basic concepts, you can once you know, I think she's saying, once you know the basic concepts, you can decide your life long term. All right, continue, Wayne.
Okay, so that's whole life. Next, to compete with whole life, but to be a little less expensive, was a policy that you could have for the rest of your life, where the premium would stay the same, just like whole life insurance. The premium stays the same; it never changes on you, and it's good for you to live past 100. This is universal life. Now, universal life, you can also get cash value, but the cash value in the universal life is totally under your control. Once you pay the cost of the insurance, anything above the cost of insurance is the investable portion of the universal life. In a whole life policy, you don't know what the cost of insurance is, and you don't know what the investment portion is. All you know is you get a dividend and paid up additions. That's all you know. It's kind of like Ronco, set it and forget it. No visibility to what they're doing, but they're going to give you 6%. Okay? Universal life, you can control the investment. You want to put it in the S&P 500, you can do so. You want to put it in the NASDAQ, you can do so. You want to put it in some certain segregated funds that will allow you to look at your risk tolerance from very, very conservative all the way to 100% equities, you can do so. But you ride or die by your knowledge and the knowledge of your advisor. So I will do a risk assessment, a risk tolerance for you, see where you're at with risk tolerance, and then I will choose investments with you at that level of tolerance and let it run. If it returns more than 6%, you beat the whole life and you're paying less premium to do the exact same thing the whole life is doing. But I have some of my nurses are making 18 and 19 and 20% on their universal life policies, which is tripling what they would get in a whole life policy, and their premiums are lower. Not every year are good years, but even when we have bad years, because it's managed portfolios, the bad years aren't as bad as if you were doing it yourself, and the good years aren't as good as you're doing it yourself. You smooth it out a little bit by having the portfolio. So universal life has the ability to borrow against a cash value, but you can't borrow 90%, you can borrow 80%. And when you borrow from a universal life policy, some of the lenders will want you to move your investment from where it is balls to the wall and move it to something more conservative so they can guarantee they can get their money back from you. So they're forcing you to control that portion that you borrowed. Needs to be in a very low volatile investment. Fantastic product, much younger than whole life, only been around a couple of decades, but if managed properly, can work just like a whole life policy, because what you can have is a level cost of insurance. That means the gap between the cost of insurance and the amount that you're contributing, that amount is investable, and that gap will never change. This is called level cost of insurance. If you want to get the benefits of being younger, you do something called YRT, which is yearly renewable term, which means every year you get older, your cost of insurance goes up. But because the gap between where you're investing and the cost of insurance is so wide, as you get to a certain age and stage, you can never have the policy lapse. This is why it needs to be designed by somebody who knows what they're doing to ensure that even if you get older, the cost of insurance will never surpass the premium. Therefore, the policy will never lapse. Plus, you have all those years of compounding tax-free in the policy. And because we're borrowing from the policy, not taking the money out of the policy, because if we take the money out of the policy, it becomes income. And what's the second word after income in this country, Dr. Vibe?
Tax.
Tax. So we never take the money out of the policy unless we absolutely have to. We borrow against it, because even if we're paying for the loan, if we use the money to do an investment, the interest on the loan to borrow is tax deductible. So think about that.
Yep.
I'm going to borrow from my policy that's paying 6%, take that money and buy an investment that's going to pay 12%, like a second mortgage on a house, or 14%. Keep the difference, pay back the 6%, but because I use it for an investment, the 6% that I'm paying on the loan interest is tax deductible. It just gets better and better if you know what you're doing.
Exactly. If you're willing to ask, Drea Rich says, oh, yes, my funds are in an investment firm. The amount is over $50K. Thank you for those details about probate. I definitely do not want my sis to have issues. I may consider reaching out to you.
Appreciate that, Drea. Hey, listen, my financial needs analysis is complimentary. So you reach out to me, and you don't like my bald head, or you say my Bajan accent is too much for you to handle, and you want to work with somebody else. You still have the document. You can go somewhere else. But I would hope you give me a chance to show you what's possible with your personal situation, keeping everything in confidence, obviously, and showing you a way to put your sister in a much better position. Okay.
Good stuff.
So universal life, permanent policy. Premium never changes. Cost of insurance can increase every year, giving you the ability to make more money early, so the compounding works in your favor. Or if you're over 45, you do a level cost, so the gap between the cost of insurance and the premium will never meet each other, so there's no risk. So the policy runs today, the policy will run forever, and you can pay it off in 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, or however you want to pay it off. We can pick a date. So when you say I'm 65, I don't want to pay any premiums anymore, no problem. We can have the date at 65, so you can stop paying the premiums, but the policy will be there for the rest of your life.
All right.
Okay.
Drea Rich says, I'm okay working with bald heads.
Let's go. All right. Let's go. All right. So that's universal life. And universal life became very popular because it gave you the same benefits almost as whole life at a lower cost, especially for people who are finding out about it in their 30s and 40s and 50s. Okay. So it's something that I offer, but once I do my analysis, I'll know which one makes the most sense, and I'll give you all options. I'll show you what whole life looks like. I'll show you what universal looks like, and I'll show you what our next type of insurance is: term insurance. And term insurance, or temporary insurance, is just that. It's insurance you can buy for 8 years, 10 years, or 20 years, or up to age 100, term 100. There's no cash value with a term policy. You cannot benefit from a term policy while you're alive in Canada. You may in the United States, but I will not speak on that since I'm not licensed down there. Term policies are just that. If you don't die, you don't get paid. 84% of term policies do not pay out. What do you think that is, Dr. Vibe?
Maybe I'm overthink. I overthink. It's probably a very simple answer, but I'm not thinking it off the top of my bald head.
Nice. 84% of term policies don't pay out because you didn't die.
I was gonna say that sounds too.
Always go with your first thought, Dr. Vibe.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
Like multiple choice.
Yeah.
All right. So you didn't die. So the insurance company did its job, but you didn't do yours. You didn't die. So now they're saying, well, now the price is going to go up. So if you get a term 10 policy, which is one of the cheapest policies you can get because the term is the shortest, the risk is the lowest in the insurance company. So they give you a great price. $10, $9, $12 a month for like $100,000, $200,000 of insurance. You're like, this is amazing. I'll do it. Great. But when the 10-year comes, you have guaranteed convertibility and guaranteed renewability. What does that mean? It means if you are with the right company that offers whole life and universal life, you can convert your term policy to a universal or whole life policy at the age you are when you do the conversion. So it'll be more expensive because it's a more expensive policy, but you're also older. But once you get to that crossover, that premium is the same for the rest of your life. Whereas term, every 10 years is going to go up, and it's going to go up significantly, 7, 8, 9 times what you're paying. So wow. Some people are paying $15, $20 for term life, and then when they have to renew, it's $80 a month, and then they have to renew, it's $300 a month. They have to renew, it's $800 a month.
Ouch.
Okay, so people need to understand what the triggers are on their term insurance. They will allow you to renew. We have a situation here with a client. They had a term policy. They had a term 10, and they were in their 70s, and they found out that they were terminal, and the policy was going to jump in premium price. But they had $1 million in term insurance, right, for 10 years, 70 to 80. But at 72, they were deemed terminal. So just before it was going to increase, they were deemed terminal. So they had a choice: continue paying the $150 in term, or pay the new price, which was $1,400 a month for the same insurance, because they were so old and so risky.
Oh.
And they came to me and said, what do we do? Do we cancel the policy? $1,400 is too much. I said, no, $1,400 is not too much. Because your father has 2 months to live. So you're going to pay $2,800 to get $1 million back. I go, fair deal. They go, fair deal. I said, go pay the $1,400. Now he lived 4 months. So it's $5,600 they spent on the insurance.
But still,
but $5,600 for $1 million back. This is why when people say, "Oh, Wayne, the robo advisors are going to compete with you and cut your grass and take you out." The robo advisor would have said the premium is going up to $1,400. What do you want to do? But the live advisor is going to tell you, "Hey, they said he's terminal. I hope he lives as long as possible. But you should pay that. Go find it wherever you can find it and pay this premium. Because when he passes, you have $1 million and you can go pay back whatever payday loan you needed to get that $1,400 a month." Okay? Every situation is different. So term insurance is fantastic to replace creditor insurance and mortgage insurance. The cost per $1,000 of insurance is much less with a personal policy versus a bank underwritten policy. So term insurance is where I use it. Also, for people who are just getting into insurance and don't have a lot of cash flow at the end of the month, term insurance gets you into life insurance at a very, very fair and reasonable price. And once your life situation changes, as we start working together and you start understanding your relationship with money, then we can convert it to a permanent policy down the road when you're more economically stable. But for people who are economically unstable, term insurance is a good option. And term, again, is a way to get a lot of insurance for a very low price. Here's the problem with term. If you miss a payment, policy is canceled because there's no cash value to prop you up. I had a young lady, I was talking to her yesterday. She pays her policy quarterly. She goes, "Wait, I don't see the money coming out of my bank account." And her premium is about $340 a month. She goes, "I don't see the money coming out of my bank account. What's going on?" I called the company. She missed a payment in February 2022. Okay. And because she had cash value, because the cost of insurance was $102, but she was contributing $340 a month. Why? Because the difference between 102 and 340 is her investment, right? Her cash value. So when she missed the payment in February, the policy of the company is, we don't want to lose a customer. We're going to use the cash value in the policy to pay the premium. And they've been paying the premium for the cash value in their policy from February 22 until we called yesterday, because she couldn't understand why the money wasn't coming out of her bank account. But they weren't paying the 340. They were only paying the cost of insurance, because that's all they're worried about is the 102. So she's been paying 102 every quarter for the last 2 years. No money coming out of her bank account. She goes, "Man, I was wondering how come I wasn't paying this premium." And she didn't call. She was supposed to call me. I said, "Call the company, call the company, call the company." And she wouldn't call the company. I finally got on the phone with her, did a 3-way call. She found out the company was saying, "Yeah, well, we'll protect our policy and protect you."
Yeah.
Right. At the cost of insurance. Now, the difference between the 102 and the 340, that's on you. She goes, "I can handle the 102 this quarter. I can't handle the 340, but 102 I can handle." So she's going to pay 102 herself and stop diminishing her cash value. Now it will start to accumulate again. Okay. Just an example of someone who had the policy for a significant amount of money, because she has like a 7-year-old son and a mortgage, and he would have almost $1 million go into his trustee, pay off the house, and still have money left over to pay for his university if something were to happen to her.
Wow.
Right? So if she wants to, she can say, "Listen, he can sell the house because the house has gone up in value since she got the policy. I can reduce my amount of insurance, right? So I reduce the amount of spend I have, because I don't want him to pay off the mortgage anymore. I just want him to sell the house. But because the house is worth so much, there's going to be a very large capital gain." She says, "I'm happy to have him have the capital gain rather than me paying the premiums for the insurance." And you can make those decisions.
Wow.
So to recap, whole life insurance, forever insurance, you don't know what the investment portion is, but there's a cash value portion and a death benefit. Never has the dividend gone below 6%, and never have Canadian companies not paid out the death benefit. The only time they don't is fraud. You tell them you're 35 and you're really 38. You tell them you're a female and you're really a man. right? You tell them you're a non-smoker and you're a smoker, fraud, right? Then it doesn't pay 3% of the time, 97% for most companies. Whole life, universal life, just like a whole life insurance, one premium forever, insurance until you transition, one premium, one price, but you have two buckets, cash value and death benefit. But you can control the death, you can control the cash value. You can put it into very aggressive or very conservative investments to meet the same level of risk as the whole life, but at a much lower cost of premium per month. Universal life. Third, term insurance, to be used for mortgages, to be used to get a lot of insurance at a very low price. No cash value. The premium will increase at the end of the term significantly. So you have to be careful of companies that say buy term and invest the rest, because they're going to say buy term and invest the rest, and you're going to buy term and spend the rest. And then when the jump comes, and I do a lot of reviews of other companies' insurance. I said, do you see this premium here? She goes, yeah, it's stable for 30 years. And then you see it go up every year from year 31 all the way to year 95. They call it term 95, and that's fine. But as long as you understand that the premium is going to go up. So what they say to you is you should cancel the policy, because by then your TFSAs and RSPs are big enough to cover you and yourself insured. That's a philosophy for a lot of people, including some famous guys who talk about budgeting and debt in the United States. But you have to know what's right for you. Okay. A lot of these pundits have rich parents.
Okay.
Back to you, Dr.
No problem. So Minion Cam says the importance of knowing what you have and paying bills on time based on the situation you just shared with us. Says when the mortgage is paid off, you have more money to work on for your investments. Fitness IQ Cam says, ooh, you just made me think of something. What about non-binary or transgenders individuals? How are they accommodated?
What was your gender at birth? Is how they answer that question. Okay. And that's how you're rated by the company, your gender at birth.
Okay, good stuff. And Minaka says, can many forms, including are on the application? I wonder how insurance payouts are adjusted for that. Okay, so I think you answered that question.
Yep.
And of course, he's here in the background. Good morning, gentlemen. Great segment, Wayne. You hit it out of the ballpark with this one. Lived experience plays a significant role in how we navigate life.
Thank you. Thank you to the Godfather, Ray.
Yes, the Godfather is in the house. Do you want to talk about the corporate benefits of life insurance?
Yes. So there's a couple of ways to have your life insurance take care of you on the corporate side. And what you can do is you can have the policy owned by the corporation, and you're the insured, and the beneficiary be the corporation. And the reason you want to do that is because if you have a partner, and let's say the company colors are like your background, purple on the top and blue on the bottom, or teal on the bottom and lavender on the top, depending on my screen color. And the wife of your partner comes in and says, I want everything to be yellow. Well, she's a 50-50 partner because you were 50-50 with her husband. The husband passed away, and now she's 50-50 with you. But if you have key person insurance, you can say, here's a policy with a cash value of what we thought his end was worth. You can have that check, and I'll take all 100% of the company. And most people will say, thanks for the check, bye-bye. And that allows you to have your company to yourself. So key person insurance, if you have multiple directors on the company, you insure each other. So should one of you pass, the others will receive your portion of the company, and their family will receive a tax-free benefit of the insurance. That's one, key person. Two, there's something called the immediate financing arrangement, where you can put money into a whole life insurance policy. It will generate immediate cash value. So you're putting in lump sums, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in premiums a year, and you're doing it for 10 years. So you put $500,000 in. But after within 3 days of putting in the first $50,000, you can borrow against the cash value 90% immediately. Okay, so it's immediate financing arrangement. So you can put $1 million into the policy and borrow $700,000 or whatever the amount is in cash value immediately, like 3-4 days after you set up the policy. So a lot of companies will do that. The other thing is a insured retirement plan. And the insured retirement plan means you're going to pay a policy for 8 years or 10 years, not draw any money on it. And then when you turn 65, you borrow from the policy every year like a pension. But it will not step on ODSP. It will not step on CPP. It will not step on OAS because it's not income. It's a loan. It looks and feels and smells like income, but it's tax-free and it's coming from the policy. So the policy has had a time to accumulate, and now you start pulling on the cash value on loans when you're ready to retire. So it supplements your income. And when you die, they take back what you borrowed plus the interest, plus you get all the cash that has been accumulating tax-free during that time, plus the full death benefit, tax-free to your named beneficiaries. It's a boss move, and I'm doing it every month with corporations. So if you have a corporation and you want to buy insurance through the corporation, holler at your boy. I'll talk to you and take care of it.
Okay. I almost feel this should be a separate segment itself because I've got a number of conversation pieces on this, but I'll just ask one or two things.
Sure.
How does life insurance support business continuity planning?
100%. The life insurance can be used while the principals of the companies are alive to borrow against, to fund equipment, to fund training, to fund acquisitions, to fund lifestyle while you're alive. The other thing you can do is, again, the key person insurance and the immediate financing arrangement. You can use the insurance to put a lump sum in and borrow money immediately to go and do a merger and acquisition or whatever you want to do. So succession planning, key person, someone dies, the insurance will take care of the spouse of that person, and then you will receive their shares of the corporation. So it's definitely a way to get the money out of the corporation to these people in the most tax efficient way without having to involve lawyers.
Okay. Can life insurance play a role in executive compensation packages?
100%. They will have insurance policies where you can buy, because it's group insurance. It's going to be less expensive than individual insurance. So you can top up and buy 2, 3, 4 times your income. Excuse me. In life insurance, anything happens to you while you're in a job, you get paid out 4x. If you have $1 million salary and you have a top up of 4x or 5x your income, you get $5 million cash money to your named beneficiary.
Okay.
I can't stress enough. Do not have your estate be the beneficiary, because you take money that's tax-free and put it back into harm's way by putting in the estate, which is taxable. So named beneficiary. And all of you who are single, married, divorced, make sure you update your named beneficiary, because it could be your ex-husband. Him and his new girlfriend will get that money because you didn't update your beneficiary. And the person you're living with will see that money go directly to them because it's not a part of the will. It's separate from the will. So insurance is separate from the will. So make sure you look at all your insurance policies and make sure you update those beneficiaries, because somebody will get hurt real bad if you don't update them.
What tax advantages can businesses gain from offering life insurance benefits?
When you have life insurance as part of a group benefit package, a portion of the benefits are tax deductible. If you have life insurance it's mandatory for a loan. So I have a doctor who is a client of mine. He has a practice out in Halton region. When he wanted to borrow the money from the bank said, you need to get a life insurance policy for what we're lending you, and you need to make us the beneficiary. So because the bank said we have to be the beneficiary, because we're lending you $1.2 million, 1.4, we're lending you 1.4, you need to go get a policy for $1.4 million and name us as a beneficiary. So he did that. So because they demanded that as part of the loan, the interest payments and the premiums, tax deductible.
Okay. How, as we start to wind it down here, how often should individuals or companies review and update their life insurance policies?
I do annual or semi-annual client reviews.
Okay.
So I'll sit down with you and say, oh, has anything changed? Oh, the company's doing really, really well. We want to increase our insurance because everybody's end is bigger because we're making more money consistently. Also for families as well. You know, I was in Vaughan. They are pregnant. They're about to have a baby. They didn't have any life insurance on either parent personally. The husband had it on himself through work, which was 2 times his annual income, which is not enough to raise a child to 18. But with what I gave them at a very reasonable price, they both have insurance now. And if anything happens to him or her, they can either one can raise a child to 18 and pay for school.
Right. 2 last conversation. Well, I could go on forever, but I'll just go with 2 last ones. What are common misconceptions about life insurance that you'd like to talk about? If any, I know you may have covered, but any other ones you want to chat about today?
Everybody needs life insurance. If you're single and have no dependents, give money to a good cause. Make sure whomever you're leaving with the bag has enough money to pay the taxes on the bag. So if you have no spouse, you have no siblings, you have no one you want to give it to, there's got to be a cause that you can give to that will help them live to see another day. Could be a homeless shelter in your neighborhood. It could be an elementary school. It could be a church. So I think everyone should have life insurance of some sort to make sure that whoever they are leaving behind does not have an economic burden because they transitioned.
And then final one, I'm going to ask you, how can technology impact the future of life insurance products and services?
Technology already has. There are a number of robo-advisors who will ask you a series of questions, and depending on which rabbit hole you go down, we'll come back with answers. I'm not saying that the computer is going to be wrong. I'm just going to say the computer has speed and simplicity. That's king. But context is queen, and I have the context because I can ask questions that are not a part of the algorithm. I can say, so you're Jamaican, right? Okay. And your father had insurance, right? And it went well for him, right? Good. So you see how that helps you. So, and so on and so forth. So I can drill down beyond what the algorithm has. And most of those algorithms do not have the contextual nature of the Black experience in Canada or the United States, let's just say. Most of the people who are asking those questions are asking them from a position and a demographic that may not reflect the audience of the Dr. Vibe show or a lot of my clientele. Although I have clients across the rainbow, all modalities, all genders, all races and cultures.
Yeah, I think just my lens on this, when you're dealing with your life and your future, I don't want an algorithm. That's just me.
Yeah, you're
Right.
at the age and the stage where that makes sense.
Well, and regardless, I think that when you're dealing with your existence and you're serious about your existence, you need someone that you can have a relationship with. If you can have a relationship with an algorithm, go for it. But just me, when I'm talking about my life and how I move through the world, especially in this area, algorithm ain't gonna cut it for me. That's just me. That's just me. That's just me. All right. As we close out, Beyond Cam says death, disease, and divorce. Death, disease, divorce, and disinterest. Things you need to think about when in a business with a partner. She says ODSB has to review all loans to see if they fit policy descriptions. Section 5.10. Loans, it does not matter if you have a corporation. And then with ODSP, if the financial decision is not approved by the caseworker, it can cause consequences with ODSP benefit unit member eligibility for the Ontario Disability Support Program. And then Dr. Tati says, finally, she says, this was great information. I could have went deeper in about the business thing, but I said, hey, time factor, and we all have things to get to. Wayne, as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your positive, productive day. Thank you as always. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're upping our game because you saw Ryan and I both came on with shirts, like dress shirts today. So yeah, the Wayne Uncle Ray effect is moving. It's moving along. As always, if you want to touch base with me, and I've again put in the comments section on most of the platforms that's watching this live or replay, there is Calendly, email, and Instagram. Let me just see and Drea Rich says this discussion was very helpful. Thank you, Dr. Vibe Wayne. Drea, I'd love you to reach out to Wayne. Can I get a little, even, it's complimentary. I would love you to reach out to Wayne. That would make me a very happy person. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Mr. Harris, as always, thank you for taking the time. All the best, you and family, and we'll see you next one. But I think I want to get back, have another go a little bit deeper about the whole business and life insurance.
Sure.
We just skirted the top of it, but I think enough, and we have a lot of business people that watch this. I don't think they have enough, and I'm just thinking they need to a little bit more to know how they can take advantage, because if we're not taking advantage individually, probably not taking advantage at corporate wise.
Agree. All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity and the platform, Dr. Vibe. For everybody here, follow me on IG at Wayne Harris World and book me.
Yes.
1 hour. We're going to know whether you are winning or losing. And once you have that information, you can make a decision for yourself who you want to work with. But I'm happy to work with anybody who wants to work with me, because trust me, there are secrets and we should know them. And last I checked, no one's telling us.
Well, that's the thing too. And especially if you're watching North America, within the next year and a half, there are going to be elections, right? So you want to be prepared for the shifts that are always coming, but there are definitely big shifts coming in both Canada and the United States. So preparation. And let's see any more comments here. Look at this. You're always a great. No, I just manage the ship. Your bro takes care of the ship when I'm on, Heather. She also says, great show learning as always. Rhea says, I am definitely considering Dr. Vibe. I have another friend that does life insurance, so I just have to give him a chance. But Wayne is great. No problem. But you know what? Experiment. The more you know, the more you need to know. Just a thought. You have with more.
Give a second opinion.
And also with more, as I learned, someone said, with more options, there's more freedom.
Agreed.
Take care, my brother. Be well and keep the faith. Peace.
Have a great weekend, Dr. Vibe.
Bye. All right, family. Amazing conversation. And you know why? Wayne showed up. You showed up. That's what I just steered the ship. Drea says, you're right. And I do like Wayne's knowledge. I just make suggestions. I don't tell people what to do, because telling people what to do got me this. And I don't mind my shiny head, but I always think, how did I get it? By trying to tell people what to do. That's how those things happen. So let's close it up today, as always. So let's close up with some things. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Hit the notification button. If you're up to it, please subscribe. And also tell people about it. Share it out. Like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. As always, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on their show or any of the shows I'm a part of, email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. I'm going to put the replay of today's conversation definitely in the Discord group. Again, coming up on this Monday's show, Carolyn Nicole, certified holistic nutritionist, will be talking about no more picky eaters. Yes, kids are gone back to school. Not only can some kids be picky eaters, but so adults can be too. And then also this Tuesday, September 10th, 2024, 9 p.m. Eastern, I'll be hosting guests from 4 African American queens and 3 African Canadian kings will be giving live takes on the scheduled Trump, 45 Harris debate. All right, so let's check it out. This is how you can get a hold of Ryan. Website, LinkedIn, Instagram, and email. And for myself, website, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X/Twitter, and email. And you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight YouTube. So this is how we close it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember, just don't manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourselves grace. Have an excellent weekend. Oh, Got to tell you too, tomorrow night, if you're watching Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala, where they'll be giving their takes pre-debate and all the stuff that's going on in America. And then Sunday afternoon, Cesar Nadima Musa, Black Canada Talking. So if you want to get a warm-up of all the people who are going to be showing up on Tuesday, actually, almost all of them you'll see today till the end of the weekend. So God bless. Peace, well, keep the faith, walk good, and we'll chat with you soon.